Hello, hello, you guys. I'm so excited to do some of these live trainings. Maybe I'll take these off. Oh, that's kind of annoying. As we continue through our 75-day Thrive to really help you with just some small things each week to be able to do just that, thrive, right? 75-day Thrive is all about just consistency with small things that are easy to do, but also easy not to do. So last week, week one, we talked about our why. And I would be so excited to see that vision that you crafted. I hope that you took some time to at least start and to write down some ideas. Again, I think we kind of get involved with this idea of perfect, whether it has to be something, momentously complete or in what how we have to create it or what it has to look like. Sometimes the messiest things are the best things, right? Because it just allows us to have that foundation and then to move forward from that rather than expecting it or needing it to be perfect and not really ever getting to it. So I want you guys to just do the work, right? Don't worry about how it looks or being perfect or, Pinterest worthy or whatever it might be. Write down and really come up with your why, come up with that vision of where you're going through the rest of this year, where you're going through next year and the next 5 years. And just take some time to really honor and get excited about what that is. When we have that vision, it helps us to then create what that month looks like, right? And when we have what that month looks like and what those goals look like, we can dig down into what the week looks like. And then we can look and dig down into what the day looks like. And we are going to feel our happiest and most productive when we have purpose within each day, right? When it's not just about, um, you know, getting up an hour early, but you understand, like, why do I want to get up an hour early? Why is that important for me? And how is that going to make an impact? If we're not really striving or having those goals to make an impact, there's no purpose to that. Why would we get up? Why would you possibly kick yourself out of bed an hour earlier than you have been if you don't have that purpose and drive, right? So that's the real importance of getting clear on that why, getting clear on that vision of where you're going, what you're trying to accomplish, both short term and long term, right? Because then once you have that, then we can focus on the actions, right? Digging into the work and staying consistent with that. And we can do that so much more easily when we really understand why it's so important. All right. So then once we do that, we're going to dig into habits. So habits are really kind of the building blocks and the building stones of what we need to do, right? Of having that purpose. So I want you guys to get out your worksheets that I gave to you. I sent them in email yesterday. Pull those out, and we are going to just spend a little bit of time going through, what habits there are, understanding what a habit cycle is. And then I'm going to teach you not to create new habits, but how to actually make them work for you, which really happens when we start to stack them or tie them to other things that we're already doing or doing really well. Okay, so what are habits? So a habit is a settled or a regular tendency or practice, especially one that is hard to give up. So as I mentioned in my email yesterday, most of the things that we do are not conscious actions. They're just things that we have developed a routine that's become so ordinary to us that we just do it on autopilot, right? Like brushing your teeth in the morning or before you go to bed. Driving to work, right? How many times do you find yourself driving, and if you need to go somewhere else, you're on autopilot to go to that place that you typically go to, right? So there's lots of different habits that we have that have just become part of our routine. We don't even consciously think about them. We just do it, right? Breathing, like all of those things. So I want to kind of introduce you to some research that was done. And there's a really great book called The Power of Habits. If you want to really start diving into your personal growth around habits, it's by Charles Duhigg. And he introduces this this thing called the habit cycle. And I'm going to share my screen so that you guys can see this, but pull out your package. You'll have the same thing right here that I'm looking at is what are these habits? Okay, so here's the habit cycle. So it's really connected and made up of 3 parts. So first you have a cue, right? Something that happens. So let's think about a situation where every day you, at a certain time in the afternoon, you go to the break room and get a cookie, right? So that was one of the examples that he used in the book, right? So you've got to figure out what that cue is. So maybe it's that afternoon slump, right? That you're reaching for something from the pantry, or again going to the break room. And then the action, what do you do in response to that cue? And then the reward, right? So we are rewarded for doing whatever that thing is, right? So maybe, if we look at that example of the cookie, so it's like that afternoon slump, or maybe it's a specific time, it cues you to go and take a break and get this cookie, right? So the action is you go for the cookie. And the third is like you feel good, right? It tastes good. You're kind of rewarded. Maybe there was people there, so there's kind of a social reward. So when we just continue to build on this loop, and do it over and over and over again, right? Same thing with like brushing your teeth at night. So what would be the cue in brushing your teeth at night? So you would be getting ready for bed. So getting ready for bed is the cue that you should brush your teeth. So the action is actually brushing your teeth, and the reward, your teeth feel good, they feel clean, and there's a great taste in your mouth, right? Everything before you go to bed. So you're rewarded and you do that again. Or maybe the reward is that you don't have cavities, so you don't have to visit the dentist so much, or you're saving money, right? There's a lot of different rewards for brushing your teeth. So there's a couple of examples, but know that any habit that we have, anything that we're doing, we do because of this cycle. Now, in the research, what Charles says is that we can't change the cue and we can't change the reward, right? We're always going to want whatever that reward is. But the one thing that we can do is change that action, right? So let's look at like one thing that probably most of us struggle with in some way, shape, or form, which is emotional eating. So if you're an emotional eater, so for me, I tend to eat or go search for food when I'm feeling anxious. So maybe when I need to do a task that I don't really want to, or I'm not really confident in, or I just don't want to sit down and actually work, so I'm procrastinating or something like that. A lot of times those are my emotional cues to get up and go get something to eat, or search for the carbs or the candy or the chocolate, right? It's never a cue to go and get carrot sticks. I wish it were, but for me, it's usually not. So again, that cue is, maybe feeling anxious about a task that I have to do, or something that I don't want to do. And to procrastinate that, I get up and go search for something to eat. And the reward for that is, you feel that momentary goodness from eating sugar. Maybe you get a little elevated high. For me, I've, staved off doing whatever that is, and maybe then come up with something else to do to continue to put it off, whatever that is. Like that reward is just being able to feel satisfied in a different way than what was causing me to feel anxious, right? So what we need to do is actually change, the reward is not feeling anxious anymore, I guess. So we need to change what that action is to be a little bit healthier. So this can take some time, you guys, to kind of figure out like, what is the actual cue? What is the important action and reward? So for example, in the book, Charles talked about this cookie example in the break room. You have to spend some time kind of like seeing what was really most important for him. Was it eating the chocolate chip cookie? Was it spending time with coworkers, right? So he he worked to kind of change what those actions were and to see if it got him the same reward, right? So sometimes instead of going to the break room, he would just go to visit with friends in another office and not go and get the cookie. And, you know, then he'd come back and assess, did he feel the same? Was he satisfied the same way? So was it really the cookie, or was it just having the opportunity to have a break, right? That procrastination? Was it about needing that social aspect? So we can try some different things to really figure out what is it that's bringing that satisfaction or that reward to us, from what that is. So that's where we can focus in, whether it be with our fitness or with our nutrition, is really focusing in on some of the actions, right? So like for me, this year I've really focused in on having meditation. So sometimes when I have kind of that task avoidance, or feeling anxious, instead of going to the kitchen, I'll just take, I'll step away from my desk still, but I'll take my phone and I'll just do one of the quick 4-minute I am meditations from the relaxation station on Beachbody on Demand. And then I'll go back to work, right? Like, so you can create other actions instead of going to the kitchen and getting the junk food or whatever, just taking that break, or maybe, you know, needing that chance to step away and realign and think through things, can really help. So that's what we're going to try to really do. And I want you to understand what that cycle looks like, so that you can do this best. Okay. So then we're going to move on to, page number 2. So habit statement ideas to try now. So find a place that you can put your habit statements so that you can see them every single day, right? So now we're going to talk a little bit about habit stacking. So this, I find, is the best way to start implementing the things that you want into your life, right? Like, so I use this example a lot. If you want to drink more water, right, to stack that or to tie it to other things that you're already doing well, so that you drink your water alongside that habit. So for example, after I brush my teeth in the morning, I will drink a full glass of water, right? So tying those things. So getting up in the morning and drinking water first thing. Or when I'm cooking dinner, I'm going to have my big water bottle and drink half of this while I'm cooking, right? So I know I'm going to be cooking dinner every night. So tying that to drinking a glass of water really helps. I found this really hard when we kind of went into the quarantine mode in March with COVID, because I really saw how much I was tying drinking my water to being in the car, because that's when it was just easiest for me to grab and have that kind of thing to occupy my mind and drink that water. Well, we didn't go anywhere. We stayed home all the time. And I found myself really lacking drinking my water. So I had to go through this exercise and find other times that I could tie drinking water to some of these other tasks that I was doing, right? So here's a few examples for you. Okay, so we talked about the water. Maybe you want to better your taking your vitamins every day, right? Maybe you have supplements or things that you want to make sure that you do, but you often forget. So after eating breakfast, I'll grab my vitamins, right? So you're tying it to something that you're doing continuously and that you already have a good habit of, that you can do that. So after putting the kids down, I'll grab a mug of tea. This has also been a really good one for me, because I tend to eat more at night, you know, get snacky at night as I'm tired, and you tend to want to just have something to occupy that time. So I have turned to this, to where instead of going in again, grabbing some unhealthy food from the pantry, first trying just a mug of tea. So I want you to think about some things that are holding you back, or things that you haven't implemented well, or you need to even maybe get rid of and replace with something else. What are 3 things that would qualify in one of those things, either that you want to add more of into your life, or you want to have less of in your life that would help you to be healthier? What are those 3 things? So write those down. Okay. Now, where can you tie those into, right? So again, if it's water, you know, what can your after and I will statement be, that you can write? So I want you to write 3 of those for those 3 things, right? And and what that might be. So for me, I wanted to really I'll share an example of something that I just implemented a couple weeks ago. I really wanted to get more consistent with my personal development and actually the timing when I would read my book. So my after habit stacking station or statement would be, after I work out, I will do my personal development, right? I will read 10 pages of a good book. Because that's when I have tied that, because it's something that I do every single day is work out. So if I tie that right to the end of that, it's always going to be able to get done, and I can set aside that time, right? So after I work out, I will read 10 pages of a good book. So spend some time and fill that in for yourself, right? Now let's kind of look at your habit plan. So I will blank your behavior at blank in blank location. Okay, so here's a few examples. If you were looking to do more time journaling or writing your gratitude, right? The Start Today journal is a great one that the Hollis Company puts out. So I will write in my Start Today journal at 8 a.m. in my bedroom. So again, we're getting specific so we know when we're going to implement these things. Okay, here's another one. I will take a walk for 15 minutes during my lunch break outside. Great. Something, it's a behavior that's going to help you to reach your goals. You have a specific time that you're going to do it and where you're going to do it. And then the third example, I will only scroll on social media for 10 minutes after working at after work at my desk, right? So tie some specific things. So for me, in my example of doing better in my personal development, I will complete my 10 pages of a good book at 7 a.m. because I work out from 6 to 7 at 7 a.m. in my office, right? I have everything set up here in my office. I've got my book, I've got my pen, I've got everything so I've got my notebook here that I take notes in. So I put everything here on my desk every night now so that I just have that ready as soon as I'm done with my workout and stretching, that I can come in and do my personal growth. Okay, so take those habits that you stacked above, and now I want you to write that plan, right? So what is the specific behavior that you're going to do? When are you going to do it? And where are you going to do it? Again, the more that we kind of give ourselves structure and in creating not just habits, but a routine, which a routine is the timing and when you're going to be doing these things, the better you're going to be at being able to implement that. Okay, so I'm going to teach you just a couple other techniques that will help you. So now this is called habit pairing. So we're moving on to page 3. So habit pairing is taking something that maybe is hard for you to do or that you don't want to do, and doing it and tying it to something that you really enjoy doing. So I really we've had our kids at home doing homeschool, and this is something that I really worked with one of my daughters on, is really helping her to do this, because there's some subjects that she just really has not enjoyed studying in school. And she really kind of just needed that carrot. So, hey, I'm going to come with you. So I'll be there in just a minute. So wait just a couple minutes. So what we did, so one thing that she really loves to do is to spend some time on Instagram, right? Looking. So we tied that habit of finishing this class and the work that was assigned that day to being able to scroll Instagram, right? So now we're going to write the I will before whatever that is that you're looking forward to doing, right? So for her, it would be, I will complete my homework for US studies before I scroll Instagram, right? So take some time to be able to, this is another great technique to use to be able to tie your habits to things that you're really looking forward to, or things that, again, you can do that you're already good at that you need to improve. So here's a few examples. After I brush my teeth, I will drink a full glass of water. After eating breakfast, I will grab my vitamins. After putting the kids down, I will grab my mug for tea, right? So those are the wrong examples. I'm just thinking those are the ones for habit stacking. I'll have to fix that and put those in. So we'll do that. Habit tracking, right? So habit tracking is kind of setting up yourself for success, that after you finish one thing that you'll do whatever that is, your new habit, right? So this was something that I really had to implement when I was learning the 2B mindset, and really got structured around tracking what my food would be, right? So I found that I would track better if I didn't just leave that till the end of the day, but I would find a system that every time that I ate, I would be able to track my food, right? So if I were trying to track my habit, after I eat, I will write down my food in my 2B mindset tracker, right? So after finishing an exercise set, I'll write it down in my habit tracker. After I write in my journal, I will tag it to Instagram, right? Or after I finish my workout, I'm going to post it on my story. After I drink my daily intake of water, I'll cross it off on my journal or on my challenge page, right? So again, just another way to really tie habits that we want to be creating to something that we're already doing, and being able to track it, right? Tracking your habits is so important because it'll give you data. So many times, you know, we think in our minds that we've done something, or you know, that it's been hard in the past, or it was maybe easier in the past. And when we start to track that, we start to really see where it's just very visible where we're doing well and where those improvements need to come from, right? So take the time that you need to track those things, because then you'll be able to see where you are, right? Like, so example, in an exercise set, you won't get any better if you keep using lighter weights or the same weights, and you won't be able to progress. But if you write it down and I do the same workout that I did last week, this week, I can then, one, challenge myself, say, okay, I did 15 pound weights. Let's up it and see if I can get 17, right? So you'll be able to push yourself so that you get more done, you'll get stronger, and it's more motivating, right? Because that's a win. If I'm able to lift heavier versus lifting the same or lifting less than last week, that's a huge win. And then I can also see if I'm not progressing, then I can kind of backtrack and diagnose why those things are happening. And that's important. Why? Because then we know what to do to make more progress. If we never do those things, it's hard for us to make progress because we don't really understand what's going on, right? So tracking is a very important key to making good habits. All right, so I want you guys to use these worksheets, have fun with this in going through this, right? So understanding the habit cycle. 2, we're going to just start with a couple of habits or things that we want to improve, right? So maybe that is journaling for you, or reading your personal development book, or doing better at getting your water or getting your workout in, right? So start to plan and stack those, and then create a plan for those so that you know specifically when you're going to do it, where you're going to do it, and are able to see that clearly and do that every time, and have that consistency, right? Pair it with something else that you're already doing well at. So if you want to drink more water, so I will drink water before I leave the bathroom after I brush my teeth, right? So make those easy to see how you're going to pair those, and then track it. Find a good way to track it, whether it be something like our 5 to Thrive that we're tracking this week, or you get a journal, or you use an app, whatever that might be. Find a good way to track and measure your progress and your growth in whatever areas that you are doing with your habits. So I'd love to hear from you, see your pages, see what habits that you are wanting to work on this week, and have fun with these techniques to start making improvements to add more positive habits to your life.